Hello, everyone. Every night we walk through the dust of history, one forgotten disaster at a time, and tonight we find ourselves in a place that never wanted to be remembered. You hear it before you see it, a slow, steady thump like someone drumming their fingers on a wooden table. Only it's coming from inside your chest. Or is that just your own heartbeat reminding you you're still alive? It's July 1518. You're in Strasbourg, part of the Holy Roman Empire, and the air tastes like copper. It's hot, sticky, the kind of heat that makes bread sweat in the windows and cheese turn on itself by noon. Your linen shirt is stuck to your back, and the chicken stopped squawking 2 days ago. Even they know something is wrong. You walk past the main square, pretending not to notice the smell of yesterday's fish. Except there hasn't been any fish sold in 3 days. People mutter, but not too loudly. Whispers curl like smoke beneath wooden eaves, and the market stalls are mostly empty. The barber surgeon left early. He said his wife was sick, but she's always sick this time of year. That's not new. What is new is the sound. It's not music exactly, not joyful, not rhythmic, but it's there. Feet scraping, bodies rustling, the soft grunt of someone spinning in place and hitting the corner of a fountain. You round the corner, and that's when you see her, Frau Trophäa. You've seen her before, usually with her head down buying onions. Ordinary, forgettable. But today she's not carrying anything. No basket, no hat, just arms stretched slightly away from her sides, fingers twitching, feet tapping. She's dancing, sort of. It's not graceful, not like the court dances nobles pay musicians for. No one is clapping, but she's moving, shifting, swaying, twirling with an absent gaze and a mouth slightly open. Like she's listening to music only she can hear. She's been at it for an hour. You ask someone what's going on. She's cursed, someone whispers. Possessed, another says. Or grieving. You ask who she lost. Her cat, someone snorts. Or maybe her husband. Hard to say which was louder. No one's laughing, though. Not really. You stay longer than you meant to. So does everyone else. There's something magnetic about the way she moves. Like you could fall into her rhythm and never come back out. You can almost imagine a beat now. A faint melody laced with heat stroke and superstition. One child giggles, then backs away. The town watch comes, but they don't stop her. One man gestures, then shrugs. Another watches for too long and suddenly mutters, "It's a plague of the soul." You don't know what that means, but you feel something crawl up your spine. That night, as the sun melts behind Strasbourg's crooked rooftops, you lie awake with a strange feeling in your toes. Your bed feels uneven, and under your window someone is humming. Softly, repetitively, out of tune. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. And hey, tell me where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. Let's go on a journey together tonight. The catastrophe of forgotten remnants of history. By morning, she's still there. Frau Trophäa. Barefoot now, one heel split open like a soft fig. Her shift clings to her with sweat, but she moves like she doesn't notice. Or like noticing would break something important. The square's quieter than usual. Not silent, just muted, like someone threw a heavy blanket over the whole town. You see fewer people than you'd expect for a summer morning. Those who do pass walk a little faster. Their heads don't turn anymore. They've seen enough. But you linger. There's something about the way she moves. Not elegant, not even rhythmic. Just determined, unyielding. Like she's trying to shake something out of herself. Like the floor is on fire and only motion can save her. Around midday, she's joined by another. A man this time. You've seen him at the tannery. He steps out from an alley without a word and begins dancing next to her. Not in sync, not looking at her. Just moving, knees jerking, shoulders twitching, arms swinging like they're not entirely attached. People murmur. "Oh, they must be lovers," someone says. "No, cousins. Both had fever last week. Her cat died. Did I tell you about her cat?" You find yourself tuning them out. By sunset, there are 4. All strangers to each other, all moving in the same ghostly rhythm. No music, no direction, no pause. You start counting steps. 1, 2, step. 1, 2, 3, turn. It's like your brain wants to map it, wants to understand. But every time you think you see a pattern, someone falters or collapses. They don't talk. They don't cry out. When they stop, it's only to rest for a moment. knees buckled, eyes rolling, fingers flexing, before rising and starting again. You remember something from church, about saints who writhe, about spiritual torment taking shape in the body, or maybe it was a warning tale about weddings and devils. Either way, the priest arrives near dusk. He stands at the edge of the square, expression unreadable. Someone asks if he'll intervene. Instead, he crosses himself and walks away. You eat dinner alone that night. Cold bread, a slice of goat cheese that tastes like regret. The dancing continues outside, and when you close your eyes, you can still hear the shuffling. Later, you wake to shouting. Someone's collapsed. A woman, you think her name is Adela, fell backwards into a stone trough, split her head. They carry her away, but the others don't stop. They just step around the blood like it's spilled wine. There's a joke in your head about that, about how many people it takes to mop up a plague, but it feels heavy, so you let it sit in silence. Sleep doesn't come. Instead, you think about how easy it would be to join them. You could walk outside barefoot, feel the stones under your toes, swing your arms, nobody would stop you, not now. It would be easier than waiting to see who's next, because someone will be. You glance at your feet, one twitches. Historians still debate whether Frau Trofea was suffering a fit or just setting something terrible in motion. Some blame ergot fungus, hallucinogens in the rye flour. Others claim spiritual possession or grief so deep it became contagious. One scholar in Basel thinks it was a protest, though no one agrees on what exactly was being protested. What's certain is this: she danced first, and the town is still watching. You open your window. There are 6 now. 6 dancers, 2 bleeding, 1 laughing too loudly. You think about how strange it is that no one has tried to stop them. You wonder if that means no one can. By the 3rd day, the silence breaks. Not with screams. No, this plague doesn't shout. It shuffles. You step out before dawn because sleep no longer feels like an option. Your legs are heavy, but your curiosity is heavier. The air clings to you, thick and sour, like stew left too long on the fire. And there she is, Frau Trofea, still dancing. But she's not alone anymore. You count 8 of them now. Some sway gently, some jerk violently, like puppets pulled by a drunk god. One woman spins in place, eyes closed, her veil stuck to her face with sweat. A boy twitches at the knees, his feet bleeding through his hose. He might be smiling or grimacing. It's hard to tell in this light. No one helps them, but no one stops them either. Instead, they form a loose crowd. Neighbors, market wives, millers with half-shaven beards. You hear someone mutter, "They've been cursed by the sins of the city." Another whispers, "No, don't you see? They're saints in torment. God will take them first." Everyone talks in halves now. No one finishes a thought. Maybe they're afraid if they do, they'll catch something too. There's a man near you. Hans, you think. The cooper's son. He's been watching since yesterday. You see his hand tremble. Maybe from the heat, maybe from something else. And just then, as if on cue, he steps forward. He doesn't say a word. He just drops his tools and starts to sway. First, just the knees, then the shoulders. Then, like a puppet himself, he falls into rhythm. It's like yawning. One person does it, and suddenly the whole room wants to join in. You take a step back, maybe 2. A woman next to you crosses herself, then spits on the ground. Another mutters, "It's in the air." I knew it. You hear a dog bark. It sounds tired. By noon, there are 16 dancers. One falls and cracks their chin on the cobblestone. Blood leaks from their mouth like wine from a cracked cask. They don't scream. They twitch, then get back up. You don't remember eating. You don't remember sitting, but somehow you're on a bench, watching as if it's a play. The town baker walks by, flour still on his apron. He stops, he stares. He says, "This town's gone mad," and keeps walking. Later, a child asks you, "Why don't they stop?" You want to say, "Because they can't." But instead you say, "Because no one knows how." Historians still debate whether this was mass psychogenic illness, a neurological response to stress, or an outbreak of collective trauma. The year 1518 wasn't kind. Famine, heat waves, bread prices soaring. If your mind cracked, you'd hardly be the first. But back then, they didn't have that language. They just called it a dancing plague. Someone brings water to the dancers. One refuses. Another drinks so fast she vomits, then keeps spinning. You notice the sun has shifted. Shadows stretch longer, leaner. The square smells like sweat and something else, something rotting. You tell yourself it's the fish. It's not the fish. A bell tolls for vespers. No one kneels. The priest doesn't come out today. And when the bell stops, the square is filled only with feet, twisting, slapping, bleeding. You should leave, but instead, you count again. There are 23 now, and one of them is humming. By the fourth day, even the whispers change tone. No more curiosity, no more jokes about curses or St. Vitus. Now it's dread, palpable, thick like the honey left out too long. It clings to everything, every wall, every prayer, every breath. You wake to it, the sound of feet. They scrape and slap against stone, rhythmic but wrong, like a drum line with no drummer. You close your shutters and try to pretend it's thunder, distant, passing. But thunder doesn't cry out in Latin. One man shouts fragments of hymns between gasps. Another mutters nursery rhymes. A woman recites a shopping list while twirling in place, over and over. Apples, turnips, lard, lard, lard. You hear her from 2 streets away. You go outside anyway, because you're human, and humans always want to see the thing they fear, just to be sure it's real. It is. There are over 30 now. Some still wear their work clothes. Blacksmith aprons, miller's smocks, butcher's coats now soaked in sweat and blood. One woman dances with her rosary wrapped so tightly around her wrist that the beads have cut into the skin. You wonder if she notices. No one talks anymore. Instead, they stare. The square is full. Not just dancers, but onlookers too. Shopkeepers have stopped opening their stalls. The bread is stale. The ale is warm. But still, people gather, lined up along walls, crouched in alleys, peeking from behind laundry lines like they're watching a sermon. But this isn't religion. It's something worse. You see a man, old with a crooked spine, step forward, eyes hollow. He starts moving, slowly at first, like trying to remember a dance he once knew. Then faster, then wild. His hat falls off. His hair's matted to his face. He's weeping, but he won't stop. The shoemaker mutters, "He lost his daughter last year," as if that explains anything. You sit on the edge of the fountain and watch him fall to his knees, then rise, then fall again. And each time he rises, the others mirror him, as if exhaustion is a shared language now, a contagious script. Someone behind you says, "They're dancing the sin away." You say nothing because your knees feel strange. You stand, walk home, lock the door. But that night, when your house creaks and you hear a cup fall off the table for no reason, you wonder if the rhythm followed you. Historians still debate whether the dancers truly lost control or simply believed they had. Some think the hysteria was social, a psychological chain reaction fueled by fear, heat, famine, and isolation. Others argue for poison, rye bread laced with ergot fungus, the same hallucinogen in modern LSD. But what if it wasn't the bread? What if it was something simpler, like the way panic moves through a crowd, like the way yawns pass from one mouth to another? Because whatever it was, it's still spreading. By dusk, there are 53 dancers. Someone counted. You tell yourself it won't be more tomorrow, but you're wrong. You start telling yourself little lies, that it's just a fever, that it'll pass, that you're not scared, that you don't notice your legs aching more each morning, or the strange way your fingers sometimes twitch when you're alone. But you do, everyone does. Sleep has become a stranger. The nights stretch long, airless, quiet, except for the scrape of feet outside your window and the occasional thud, someone collapsing. Or worse, someone being dragged away. They've stopped burying them with ceremony. There are too many. Somewhere between sunrise and the third rooster crow, you hear something new. Not footsteps, not weeping. Music, flute, maybe a drum. You throw on your coat and go outside, and there they are. 4 men with instruments, sweating more than the dancers themselves. One plays a slow, loping rhythm. Another strums something desperate and offbeat. You see the town council standing nearby, arms crossed, trying not to look foolish. They say music will cure them, someone murmurs beside you. Or at least match their tempo, says another. You want to laugh, but nothing's funny anymore. Still, you watch, because what else is there to do? The dancers adjust. Their twitches find rhythm. Their spasms now have punctuation. It looks orchestrated, like maybe the plague was waiting for a soundtrack. One man swings a partner who isn't there. Another girl spins in perfect time with the lute. It almost works, until someone bites their own tongue in half. He collapses, gurgling as the flute player falters. The crowd gasps. The music dies, the dancers don't stop. That evening, a councilman comes to your street, sweat dripping into his collar. "We'll hire more musicians," he says flatly. "Professional ones, from Basel." You blink. "To make them stop? To help them finish," he says. You don't sleep that night either. You sit by the window, legs tucked under you like you're a child again, watching 35 people sway beneath torchlight, moving to a tune that no longer plays. The musicians left hours ago, but the dancers still follow that same ghostly rhythm. The moon hangs heavy overhead. A boy next door ties rags around his feet. "Just in case," he tells you. You don't answer. Your dreams are full of steps now. Heel, toe, spin, heel, toe, collapse. Historians still debate whether the authorities truly believed music would soothe the madness, or if they were simply trying to mask the horror with harmony. There's a theory that this was all political theater, that by giving the dancers music, the city could pretend it had control. But you were there, and you know control was never in the equation. The next morning, a man arrives from the next town over. He watches in silence for an hour, then asks, "How long has this been happening?" You don't answer, because honestly, you're not sure anymore. He stares for a moment, then sets down a stool, pulls out a drum, and starts to play. And the dancers? They adjust. The nights in Strasbourg are different now. Not darker, just heavier, thicker. Like the air has taken on weight, pressing against your chest every time you try to sleep. It smells like boiled cabbage and sweat-soaked linen. You can hear the flies before you see them. And beneath it all, the endless rustling of feet. You try not to watch anymore, but that's a lie too. Because something in you needs to know. Are there more dancers today? And every time you count, there are. 67 this morning, 74 by sunset. Some are people you recognize, neighbors, friends. The man who sharpened your shears every spring. The woman who used to hum while selling pears. Now she twitches like a marionette missing strings. Her eyes don't blink. Her feet are bare. Her husband left days ago and hasn't come back. And the music hasn't helped. It only seems to shape the chaos into a rhythm you'll never forget. So you try something new. You stop going to the square. You take the alley behind the butcher's instead, even though it smells like old bones and something vaguely sour. You keep your eyes low. You pray to the Virgin, though your voice cracks halfway through the Ave Maria. You begin to ration your steps. Only 10 from the bed to the stove. Only 15 from your door to the rain barrel. No dancing, not even swaying. Not even tapping your fingers on the table while you wait for water to boil. You don't want to tempt anything. But then you hear about Greta. You remember Greta, everyone does. She's the miller's niece, the one who laughed too loudly at funerals and wore red sleeves on fasting days. You hear she danced for 5 days straight, then dropped in front of the grain store, eyes open, dead. They say she never blinked once. You think that should be the worst part. But no, the worst part is this. She didn't look afraid. You try not to think about it. You try to keep moving through your day like normal. You wash your face, you chop carrots, you pour the rainwater carefully, and then one day you catch yourself humming, softly, barely audible. A melody you don't remember learning, something slow, circular. You stop the moment you notice. Clamp your mouth shut, press your palms flat to the table. A neighbor knocks and you jump. It's the tailor's apprentice. He looks pale. He says his uncle started twitching. Wants to know if you still have vinegar. You don't. But you give him something anyway. A jar of pickled garlic and a lie about it being soothing to the blood. He thanks you and walks away. His left foot drags slightly. You watch him go. You count the steps. Historians still debate whether people like you, those who never danced but lived through it, suffered a kind of second-hand trauma. Was it a community-wide hallucination? Was it fear feeding fear? Or did something darker pass between bodies, silent and unseen? There's no answer, just more feet. Some nights, you hear them in your sleep. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, turn, fall, rise, bleed. You think about boarding up your windows, but it's too hot, and the smell would build. You'd suffocate in your own caution. So you light a candle and wait. There's a saying in Strasbourg now. Don't look too long, or your feet will remember. It's nonsense, of course. Superstition layered over panic. But you repeat it anyway, like a prayer, or a charm, or maybe just a nervous tick. Because the truth is, your feet do ache more often these days, especially when you stand still too long, especially when it's quiet. So you stay busy. Sweep the same corner 3 times. repack herbs, polish a copper pot that hasn't been used in months. You count beans just to hear something tick. You avoid the square, you avoid your own reflection, but the plague, if that's even what it is, has no interest in your coping mechanisms, because now it's inside the baker's family. The oldest son, Albrecht, was seen twirling in front of the oven. He burned his hand, didn't notice. They had to carry him out by force. His mother wept in the alley, cradling flour-covered rags like a dead bird. 2 more joined him the next morning. The priest stopped by your street again. His robes looked heavier, his eyes even heavier than that. He didn't speak to anyone, just left a small cross of straw at the corner well and walked on, shoulders slumped. You think that was meant to comfort people. It didn't. You ask a neighbor how many are dancing now. He shrugs and says, over 100. But who's counting anymore? That night you hear screams, then laughter, then both at once. You curl deeper into your cot, wrap your blanket tighter. You start to recite the names of rivers you know. The Rhine, the Illinois, the Neckar. It's an old habit, a childhood trick for falling asleep. It used to work. It doesn't anymore. The next morning, someone suggests a new cure. Cabbage leaves wrapped around the legs, soaked in goat's milk and wine. They say it draws the madness out through the soles of the feet. You say nothing, but you notice the man who suggested it has cabbage juice on his hands and blood in his shoe. Others try bleeding, leeches, prayer. A woman reportedly danced while holding a Bible to her chest. By the time it slipped from her grip, her wrists were torn and raw. She collapsed, still mouthing verses through broken teeth. Historians still debate whether the town's medical practices helped or worsened the situation. Many treatments bordered on absurdity. Mustard poultices, holy relics applied to the forehead, and one infamous attempt involving a live eel placed under the tongue. You're not sure what's stranger, that they tried it or that some swore it helped. Meanwhile, you stop singing, even in your head. You walk with your arms stiff to your sides, forcing stillness into every movement. It feels unnatural, but it feels safer. Then one morning you find footprints outside your door. Bare, smudged, slightly smeared. One of them trails blood. You stare at them for a long time, too long. And you swear for just a second your heel lifts, like your foot remembers something you don't. You sit down hard and stay there until the candle burns out. There's no such thing as a quiet day anymore. Even when the dancers sleep, which is rare, the square still echoes. Their limbs twitch in rest. Their breathing rattles through cracked teeth. A few mutter phrases, broken like windblown prayer flags. Make it stop, or still not done. You learn to walk faster, speak softer, avoid eye contact with anyone who stands too still for too long, because sometimes stillness is just the breath before the music starts again. One morning, a carpenter nails together a raised wooden platform near the fountain. He says it's for safety. You think he means containment. By evening, the mayor orders it turned into a formal dance floor. Yes, really. You stand in the crowd, same as everyone else, watching while laborers smooth the wood with lye and sand. A musician tunes his lute nearby. A council clerk reads from a paper with shaking hands. If the madness is in the blood, let it bleed itself out through the feet. Some clap, some nod solemnly. You can't move. The dancers are led to the platform like sheep. They mount the stage without resistance. Their feet barely pause between steps. One woman reaches up to touch the sky, or maybe the steeple, but collapses before she finds either. And the music plays. It's not lively. It's not even beautiful. It's droning, relentless, designed more to match the dancer's weariness than lift it. One drum beat every few seconds, a low-string tremor that shakes your ribs. You feel it in your spine, in your knees, in your breath. And even though you're not dancing, you feel tired, bone deep. You hear someone mutter, "They built a theater for a plague." You want to disagree, you can't. The townspeople come daily now. They bring food, water, some sit and knit. Children play in the dust nearby as if the stage is just another show. As if this is something we've chosen to normalize. It's the only way to survive it. Pretend this is normal, so you do. You bring a basket of apples. You hand them out. You keep your eyes on the ground. You notice how some dancers no longer sweat. Their skin looks thin, fragile, paper stretched over bone. One man smiles at you as he spins. His teeth are gone. Historians still debate whether the platform was an act of mercy or madness. Some say the officials meant well, offering an outlet. Others argue it encouraged the plague, formalized it, made a ritual out of rot. But all agree on this. The platform did not help. The number of dancers doubled in the week that followed. One fell off the edge and cracked his skull. No one stopped dancing. The mayor stopped attending. The priest stopped watching. The shoemaker now sells soft slippers for spectators to stand more comfortably while watching them suffer. He smiles when he says it. You stop buying shoes. And at night, when you lie in bed, your ceiling seems to move slightly. A pulse, a rhythm. You close your eyes and see the platform, the flicker of torchlight, the sway of shoulders and knees. You do not sleep. You listen for footsteps, and you count. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Spin. The platform is slick with blood now. Not a pool, just a glaze, a shimmer under torchlight, like the town accidentally built a stage from stained glass and regret. You hear they tried scrubbing it with vinegar and ash. It didn't help. The wood just soaks it in, like it knows. You don't go near it anymore, but you hear it day and night. The thud of feet, the creak of boards, the occasional moan cut short by exhaustion. And sometimes silence, that's worse. Because the silence means someone collapsed, or someone stopped breathing, or someone new is being carried on. Today the musicians have switched again. The last troupe left town 2 days ago, refusing to play for what they called a death cult with better lighting. The replacements are quieter, more somber. One man plays a stringed instrument you've never seen. It sounds like weeping. You hear a rumor the mayor's brother joined the dance. He used to scoff at the whole thing, called it peasant superstition, said only fools could be swept up in something so irrational. Now he twitches on stage with a ribbon tied around his wrist. His wife tied it there so she wouldn't lose track of him. The ribbon is fraying. You spend more time indoors. Your windows stay shuttered. You boil water you don't need just to feel like you're doing something. You rearrange spoons. You read the same passage of scripture 3 times and still don't remember what it said. Sometimes your hands move on their own. Not much. Just a tap of the fingers, a sway of the wrist. You slap them against your thighs when it happens. Hard enough to sting, you need the pain to be louder than the rhythm. There's another new cure going around now. Bury your shoes in the garden and whisper a confession into the hole. Then cover it. Walk away. Don't look back. You don't try it, but you do avoid your shoes for a while. You wear socks only. Bare feet feel safer, lighter. You hear about a girl, a baker's daughter, who danced in her sleep. Her mother says she opened her eyes while dreaming and asked for music. They tied her to the bed. She escaped anyway. Danced in place until sunrise. Now she doesn't speak, just hums, constantly. Historians still debate whether sleep dancing was part of the syndrome or a byproduct of terror-induced insomnia. Some argue the body, trapped in stress and suggestion, simply gave in, even during unconscious hours. No one knows for sure, but you do, because you've started dreaming too. In your dreams, the sky pulses in time with the drums. The moon spins slowly above you like it's caught in a lazy waltz. People dance with no faces. You try to scream, but your jaw moves only in rhythm. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, turn. You wake soaked in sweat, your pillow on the floor, your fingers curled like claws. And the worst part? You miss the music. Even now in this hush, this quiet. You miss it, because silence means the rhythm has moved somewhere else. You don't know what day it is anymore. Time has become elastic, stretching long and taut between moments of wakefulness and exhaustion. You mark it only by how many new dancers appear each morning, or how many disappear by nightfall. You've stopped counting. Everyone has. The numbers are meaningless now. One morning you step outside and hear the drums again. Slower this time. Hollow. The kind of beat that seems to follow you even when it stops. You glance around and realize it's not the same drummer. This one looks younger, pale. He doesn't meet your eye. There are rumors now, new ones. Not just about demons or poisoned rye or Saint Vitus, but about something older, something beneath the stones, a sickness in the land. Some say it began in the river. Others say it followed a comet. One man claims he saw a goat dancing before any human did. You tell yourself you don't believe any of it, but you've started watching animals more closely. And this morning you saw a crow hopping back and forth on a rooftop, like it was keeping time. You shook it off. You always shake it off. The platform has expanded. They added more planks, more lanterns. There are benches now, for those who can't dance anymore but refuse to stop moving. Their fingers twitch, their heads jerk, their eyes wide and staring into nothing. And when the musicians rest, the dancers keep going. One collapsed yesterday with both legs bent inward. They say she danced on broken bones for almost an hour before her body gave up. Someone left her flowers. Someone else took her shoes. You try not to think about what they plan to do with them. The town no longer feels like a place. It feels like an echo. Even the bells ring off-key. You visit the apothecary, not for medicine. You know that's a fantasy now, but for conversation. For the sound of something sane. He speaks in low tones, eyes darting to the window every few seconds. You know, he says, this isn't the first time. You tilt your head. Cologne, Erfurt, they've had it too, centuries ago. People danced, people died, and then it just stopped. You blink. So it ends? He shrugs. Eventually, but no one ever remembers the ending. Only the movement. You leave without saying goodbye. That night, the dancing sound closer. Not in the square, not on the platform. Closer. You lie in bed, still as a corpse, eyes open to the dark, and you realize something terrifying. You know the beat. You can feel it in your spine. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Turn. You don't move, but your body wants to. Historians still debate whether the plague of 1518 ever truly ended, or if it simply slipped into another form, migrated from limbs to dreams, from towns to memories. Some say the rhythm lives on in collective anxiety. Others say it sleeps beneath the cobblestones, waiting. You don't care what they say, because tonight, you almost got up, just once, just to stretch your legs, but that's how it starts, isn't it? You wake up standing, not dancing yet, just standing, feet flat on the cold floor, arms limp at your sides. The candle burned out hours ago, but your eyes are wide, alert. You don't remember rising. You don't remember dreaming. And you don't move, not right away, because you're afraid, not of death, of rhythm. The room is still. The shadows don't sway. The silence hangs like a sheet. But beneath your skin, there's a pulse. And it's not yours, not exactly. It feels external, borrowed, like a borrowed drum beat. You slowly sit back on the edge of your bed. Breathe in, outside, in again. You press your feet to the floor to feel the grain of the wood. You whisper to yourself, just tired, that's all. You say it twice to make it real. Outside, the air is thick again. Not with heat, but with weight. People walk in silence. Children don't play. Markets don't open. The square is quieter now, but not in a comforting way. It's a waiting kind of quiet. You pass a man holding a jar of salt. He tells you deadpan, sprinkle it in your shoes. Keeps the ghosts out. You nod. You don't ask questions anymore. The council has stopped issuing announcements. Their last decree was posted crookedly on the baker's wall. Avoid dancing unless absolutely necessary, as if any of it has ever been voluntary. You hear about a farmer from the outskirts who came into town to trade goats. By the time he left, he was barefoot and humming. His cart rolled away without him. Some of the dancers have started humming in unison now. Not a song you recognize. Just a shared tune, uneven, fragmented. Still, it curls around your ribs when you hear it. 1, 2. Pause, 3, 4. Lurch. You don't hum, but you mouth the rhythm when you're alone. Someone tells you about the river, that it's been singing at night, a low vibration in the stones near the banks. Like the ground is remembering something, they whisper. You nod, because lately your own body has felt like a stone that remembers too much. Your neighbor, old Ralph, nailed his window shut yesterday, said if he couldn't see the dancers, he wouldn't join them. This morning, someone found him outside, barefoot, swaying against his front door, eyes shut tight. They say his knees gave out before the nails did. Historians still debate whether the plague was truly contagious, or if the mind, when surrounded by madness, eventually mimics it to survive. Like a flock turning in sync, even when no leader calls the shift. You wonder which is worse, to be infected or to be convinced. Tonight, you light a candle and scatter salt under your bed. You whisper your name 3 times, just to remember it, just in case. You think of Frau Trophea, the first. You wonder if she's still dancing somewhere, unseen, or if her rhythm has passed into everyone else now. You crawl under your blanket, stiff as stone, and promise your body, do not move. It doesn't listen. Your fingers twitch once. Square is quieter now, but it's not over. No, it's never really over. The dancing has slowed, but it hasn't stopped. The bodies still move, just more deliberately. Like the plague has entered a new phase. Less frantic, more ritual. The spasms are gone, replaced by something smoother. Measured, almost rehearsed, and that might be worse. You stand near the edge of the crowd, hidden beneath your hood, watching. You promised yourself you wouldn't. Promised yesterday and the day before. But here you are again, feet tingling, hands curled in your pockets. There's a new dancer today. She's small, maybe 12. Her hair is tied with string, no shoes, no sound. Her knees bend in gentle arcs, arms out like a sleeping bird. You hear her mother crying softly nearby. Not loud enough to interrupt, just enough to blend in. A man next to you mutters, "That's 3 children this week." You don't answer. You're still counting the beats in your head. Someone's selling charms now. Tiny wooden feet with iron nails hammered through them. Meant to pin down your own feet. Metaphorically, of course. He calls them blessing talismans. But you know a hustle when you see one. Still, you consider buying one. Not because you believe it works, but because you're tired of being afraid. The platform groans under the weight of its occupants. You can hear it even from across the square. The creak of old wood, the wheeze of strained joints. It sounds like breath. It sounds alive. The musicians haven't changed their tune in days. Just one slow melody, endlessly looping, a lullaby for the damned. You remember lullabies. Your mother used to hum one about a bear who danced in the moonlight. You haven't thought about it in years. And now it haunts your dreams. Because in your dreams, you are the bear. Historians still debate whether children were more susceptible due to suggestion or stress. Some accounts describe them joining the dance joyfully, as if playing a game. Others claim the youngest ones suffered worst, because their bodies hadn't learned to resist. You wonder if resistance is even possible. You visit the old shrine near the woods, the one to St. Vitus. It's crumbling. Vines have taken most of the stone. Someone's left offerings, wilted flowers, a small wooden doll, and a single shoe, just one. You kneel out of habit, then stop yourself. Because kneeling feels too much like bending, and bending might become swaying, and swaying, well, you know where that leads. On the way home, you pass a boy tapping his fingers on a barrel. Innocent rhythm. 3 quick knocks, then 2, then again. You freeze. He notices your stare and stops. But the pattern echoes in your head for hours. You wonder if this is how it starts. Not with full body possession, but with little rhythms slipping past the gate, a foot twitch. The shrine is quiet, but not empty. You return at dawn, before the bells, before the drums, before the square begins its daily dirge. You don't plan it, your feet just take you there. Past the sleeping dogs, past the boarded shops, past the chalk X's someone started marking on certain doors. The path to the shrine winds through trees so silent they feel sculpted. The birds stopped singing weeks ago. Or maybe you just stopped noticing. Either way, the silence here feels colder, like the air has been wrung of anything living. You half expect to be alone? You're not. There's a man kneeling in front of the weather-worn altar. His back is to you, shoulders hunched. He's whispering something, too soft to catch, but rhythmic, repetitive. His hands move in small motions like he's shaping invisible clay. You almost call out, but you don't, because you recognize him. He was a musician once, one of the first, the one with the lute. You thought he left with the others. Apparently not. You stand still, watch. He rocks slightly, forward, forward, pause. Then slowly he turns his head just a bit and says without looking, "They say St. Vitus danced too." You don't answer. You don't move. He continues, but no one talks about when he stopped. You leave, fast. On the way back, you pass by the fountain. It's dry now, cracked. Someone etched a symbol into the stone lip, a spiral with a line through it. You've seen it before, on doorways, scratched into fences. Maybe it's a protection mark. Maybe it's a warning. Either way, it's spreading too. The square is filling again. The dancers look different now, not in face, but in intention. They don't twitch or flail. They flow. Their movements are smoother, more unified, almost graceful, like a single creature with many limbs. And there's something else. They've started to smile. Not joyful grins, not mad laughter, just serene. As if they've found some truth you haven't. As if the pain is gone. As if this, whatever this is, has become home. You back away, but you can't stop watching. That night someone sings. Not a tune, not lyrics, just one long, wavering note that slides through the town like smoke. You can't tell where it's coming from. It's above you, around you, inside you. And it doesn't stop, even after you cover your ears. even after you bury your head under the blanket, even after you bite your knuckles until you taste iron. It continues, one note, one breath, one pulse. Historians still debate whether this stage of the plague marks spiritual surrender, psychological collapse, or the onset of mass trance. Some claim the dancers experienced euphoria near the end. Others argue that serenity is just what death looks like when it forgets to knock. But the part they always skip, the ones who didn't join, but started humming anyway. Because that night, just before sleep almost takes you, you realize you're humming too, and you don't know when it started. There's no wind today, not even a breeze. The flags hang limp, the trees don't stir, and the air feels like old cloth, draped over the town, heavy and used. You step outside and immediately feel it, a kind of stillness that isn't peaceful. It's waiting, watching. You check your hands, they're steady. You tell yourself that's good, the square is full again. But now the dancers are dressed differently. Some wear flowers in their hair, others have painted their faces. One man spins in a robe stitched with bells that jingle faintly, offbeat. A woman wears a crown made of cutlery. The effect is theatrical. It feels like a festival, but no one's celebrating. Spectators have started bringing food to leave at the edge of the platform. Loaves of dark bread, hard cheese, jars of pickled onions. No one eats it. It just sits there, collecting flies, molding beneath the sun. A councilman you vaguely recognize steps up to speak. His voice is weak, shaky. No one really listens. You catch the words containment, manageable, temporary condition. Then he coughs, and you feel the entire crowd shift backward. He steps down, doesn't come back. Later, someone hangs a painted sign over the square. Festival of motion, all are welcome. You stare at it for a long time. Someone claps, then another, then three more. You realize they're clapping in rhythm, not for anything, just to fill the space. A man begins stomping his feet in place, slowly, methodically, not dancing, not yet, but it's close. You feel a twinge in your heel. You sit down immediately, count backward from 10, whisper the names of saints, Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, Saint Jude, Saint Vitus. Your voice falters on that last one. You go home, lock the door, cover the windows, but the clapping continues. It echoes down streets, through chimneys, beneath floorboards. Even hours later, you feel like it's vibrating in your teeth. That night, you dream of mirrors, thousands of them, each one reflecting a version of you. Some standing, some swaying, one staring back with a grin that doesn't belong to you. You wake up cold. The candle is still burning, but the flame is still, not flickering, just steady, as if afraid to move. Historians still debate whether the so-called Festival of Motion was officially sanctioned or simply emerged out of madness. Some say it was a desperate attempt to normalize the horror. Dress it in costumes, give it a name. Others argue the town finally gave in and embraced the dance as religion. But no one mentions how quiet the birds became, how even dogs stopped barking, or how you can still hear clapping long after it stops. You check your hands again, still steady, but your right foot, it taps once, and then again. You don't remember standing, but you're at the window now, looking out through a crack in the shutter. Just a sliver, just enough to see the square in the pale morning light. Fog sits low to the ground, soft, glowing, thick like breath on cold glass. It curls around the platform and the edges of doors like it knows the place better than you ever did. The dancers are still there. Of course they are. They always are. Except now there's something new. They're wearing masks. Not all of them, but enough to notice. Simple things. Carved wood, painted paper, cloth sewn in strange shapes. Some are elegant, others grotesque. One dancer wears a deer skull. Another has a mask painted like a grinning baby. They don't seem out of place. They never blink. You see a boy you once bought onions from. Now he twirls in silence, face hidden behind a sun-shaped mask. His arms move like reeds. His knees bend like water. You wonder if he knows he's still dancing, or if the mask remembers for him. You step back, shut the window. The sound still leaks through, soft feet against wood, the occasional thud, a laugh with no joy behind it. A hush beneath every movement, as though the plague has taught the town to breathe in rhythm. Later that day, someone leaves a flyer at your door. Painted letters, elegant script. Submit to the motion, freedom and rhythm. You fold it twice, then burn it in a dish. It smells like myrrh. You pass the town square at dusk and notice people aren't just watching anymore. They're swaying, just slightly, just enough. A hand twitch, a foot shift, a shoulder roll, perfectly timed with the bells. You realize no one talks about ending it anymore. That word, end, has vanished. No one asks when it will stop. They only wonder, should we join? You see the mayor's wife among the watchers now. She used to host luncheons, lecture on propriety. Today she hums a tune no one else hears and taps a spoon against her wrist. The drummers have changed again. They no longer follow the dancers follow them. And the beat, it's slower now, like a heartbeat right before sleep. Historians still debate whether the mass signified ritual, madness, or a final surrender of identity. Some say the mass allowed people to survive the horror by becoming someone else. Others claim it was a final joke, hiding faces so death wouldn't know who to take next. But the truth is simpler. The mask just made it easier to forget who you were before the dance. That night, you find a mask on your doorstep. Plain, pale, just 2 eye holes and a thin slit for the mouth. Inside, a ribbon, red, freshly tied. You don't bring it inside, but you don't throw it away either. You hang it by the window just to keep watch. And when the moon rises and the drums begin again, you find yourself staring at it longer than you should. You imagine how it would feel. Light, like letting go. The sky turns a strange color today. Not gray, not blue. Something in between, like dust washed in milk. The kind of sky that makes everything below it feel quieter than it should be. You stand at your door longer than usual, just staring upward. It doesn't move. You wonder if the clouds have forgotten how. When you finally step outside, the town is different. Not physically, same buildings, same corners, same sagging signs swinging in slow arcs, but the energy has shifted. There's no more panic, no more questions, no more resistance. People are floating through their days, some with feet, some without. You pass a man brushing ash from his doorstep. He doesn't speak, just nods once, gently, as if confirming something the two of you never said out loud. You realize you don't even know his name. That used to matter. In the square, the dancers move slower than ever. So slow it almost looks still. You blink, and they're in the same pose. You blink again, and their arms have drifted an inch to the left, like watching time forget how to tick. There's a kind of reverence now. Less frenzy, more trance, more devotion. Someone's placed candles at the edge of the platform. Dozens. They flicker in perfect unison, like they've been choreographed. You feel something inside you shift. Not break, just tilt, ever so slightly, like the floor isn't where it used to be. You steady yourself on a windowsill. It's warm. You don't remember it being warm before. The flyer shows up again, same lettering. Submit to the motion, freedom and rhythm. But this time it's already inside your house, folded neatly on your table, placed beside your spoon, waiting. You don't scream, you don't run, you just stare at it, and you realize something truly awful. You're not afraid anymore. Not exactly. More curious. You think about the dancers, their smoothness, their quiet eyes, their masks, how none of them seem to feel pain anymore, how none of them speak, how every single one of them knows what to do. That's what gets you, the knowing. You've been afraid for so long, so many days of not knowing anything, of waiting, of watching your body betray you in tiny, almost beautiful ways. But the dancers, they never hesitate. And tonight, as the town hums its low, ghostly lullaby, and the candles paint golden halos on every wall, you catch your reflection in the window. You're swaying, only a little, barely perceptible, but enough. And the worst part, it feels good. Historians still debate whether the final phase of the 1518 outbreak involved submission, transcendence, or simply exhaustion. Whether the body pushed past its limits, learned to find stillness inside motion, or if the mind breaking down mistook surrender for peace. But in Strasbourg, they stopped documenting around this time. No one recorded the last day. Maybe there wasn't one. Maybe the dance never ends. It just changes partners. You place the flyer into the hearth, but you don't light it. You leave it there, untouched, and you start humming again, only this time you don't stop. There are no more visitors. No travelers passing through, no wagons rattling down the stone streets. The postman stopped delivering days ago. You didn't notice until you realized the notice board hadn't changed. Same torn corner, same faded ink. And no one seems to care. Strasbourg has gone quiet in a new way now, not because people are afraid to speak, but because they don't feel the need to. Words have grown irrelevant. Everything is conveyed through glances, gestures, steps. A nod means, I see you. A tilt of the chin means, still here. A hand over the heart means, something else. Maybe soon. You stop trying to decipher it. The dance has spread beyond the platform. Now it happens in doorways, in alleys, in empty stables and churchyards. Some dancers never leave their homes. Just spin in place behind drawn curtains, shadows flickering like candlelight against cracked glass. You see one man moving in time with his own reflection. He smiles. So does the reflection, but you're not sure which smiled first. The shoemaker no longer sells shoes. Instead, he's built a rack full of slippers. No soles, just velvet covers for the feet, for silence, for graceful endings, he says. You don't ask what he means. At the fountain, dry as ever, a woman has begun drawing chalk spirals around the base. She never speaks, never blinks, just bends and draws. Every day, new spirals, same motion. Her hands are raw. She keeps going. Someone lights incense, not at the church, but at the bakery. Smells of cloves and earth and something sweet, honey maybe, or rot. You pass a child spinning slowly, arms stretched wide, a paper crown slipping over one eye. No adult nearby, no one watching, except you. You don't interfere, because by now you understand that interference is no longer the town's currency. Observation is, surrender is, and you're halfway there already. You visit the shrine again. You don't remember walking there, you just arrive. This time it's empty, but the candles are fresh. And the mass from your window, it's hanging on the altar now. Historians still debate whether the 1518 plague faded on its own or was absorbed into the cultural fabric of the region. Some argue it was an act of collective psychosis. Others claim it was a ritual transformation. Grief made kinetic, fear made flesh, community built on collapse. But you don't need theories anymore. You only need rhythm. That night you hum louder than before. Not a song, a signal. And when you finally sleep, you dream not of running, but of joining hands, of turning in place, of moving as one with every soul you once feared. And when you wake, your feet are already moving. The floorboards creak beneath your steps, but not in protest, in rhythm. They seem to understand now, as if they finally accepted your weight, your pace, the angle of your heel when it turns just so. You don't try to stop it anymore. The swaying, the humming, the subtle alignment of your breath to the beat outside. You've surrendered, not fully, not yet, but enough to no longer flinch when you hear the drums. You leave your home at dusk, door left ajar. No one locks doors now. What would be the point? The dancers aren't thieves. They don't want your belongings, just your movement, just your presence, just your place in the pattern. The square glows. Lanterns hang like fireflies in iron cages. They swing in a breeze that doesn't touch your skin. The dancers move in elegant spirals, arms trailing like streamers in a slow procession of silence and grace. Some wear masks, others don't. At this point, it makes no difference. They all look peaceful, too peaceful. A woman offers you a cup of something, warm, dark. You don't ask what's in it. You sip. It tastes like cinnamon and sleep. Someone takes your hand. You don't resist. You step forward. 1, 2, turn. Your body knows what to do. It always did, you realize. The fear just got in the way. You dance until your calves ache, then until they go numb. Around you, others do the same. No one speaks. No one leads. You're part of a wheel now, spinning gently towards something that doesn't need explaining. Above you, the moon watches, half full, half gone. Historians still debate whether the final stage of the plague saw participants transcend pain or simply forget it. Some accounts mention dancers achieving an almost religious ecstasy. Others describe motion so pure it became meaningless, as if the act of dancing had consumed the self entirely. They call it entrancement. You call it quiet. Later, you find yourself sitting beside the fountain. You don't remember stopping. Your breath is shallow but steady. A child curls beside you, asleep mid-spin. A mask rests in your lap. Your fingers trace its edges without thought. You feel no fear, no urgency, only the pulse. It's in the stone, the wind, the sky, even in your bones. And just before sleep takes you, for real this time, you realize the truth. You never resisted the plague. You were waiting for it to choose you. You wake up mid-step. The moonlight spills through the window in ribbons, pale and forgiving. Your arms are raised, not in panic, but in poise. One toe just barely brushes the floor. Your body feels weightless. Or maybe you've just forgotten what heaviness feels like. You don't sit down, you glide across the room, across the memory of who you were. The mask still rests on the table. You pick it up. Not like you're deciding, more like you're remembering something inevitable. The ribbon is soft against your fingers. Familiar, like silk you've worn in dreams. You tie it on, and just like that, the noise stops. Not silence, no. The rhythm is still there, but it doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't press against your skull or vibrate in your teeth. It's inside now, internal, yours. You step out into the street, the world is alive with motion. Everyone is dancing, everyone. The butcher, the shoemaker, the mayor's wife, the children with sticks for swords, the baker whose hands still move like he's kneading dough. Even the priest. His rosary swings from his hand, counting beats instead of prayers. They don't notice you, they don't need to. You're part of it now. The platform is gone. Dismantled days ago, it served its purpose. Now the entire town is the stage. Windows are flung wide. Lanterns dangle from chimneys. Shadows swirl against shutters in choreographed silence. You pass a mirror. Stop. You're still there, but different. Your body moves with grace that wasn't there before. Your shoulders relaxed, hips loose, steps precise, controlled. And yet, you're not controlling them. You nod to your reflection, it nods back. Historians still debate whether this phase was psychological collapse or spiritual alignment. Some argue Strasbourg surrendered to mass delusion. Others whisper it became a sanctuary, a place where suffering found expression, where the soul could bleed through the body. You no longer care what they say, because you've learned the truth. The dance is not the disease, the dance is the cure. You move with the others until the stars disappear, until the sun yawns over the rooftops and kisses the sweat on your brow. You don't stop, no one does, because stopping isn't part of it anymore. Movement is prayer, and prayer is survival. At some point someone sings. You don't know who starts it, you only know that you join in, and it's beautiful. There are no clocks in Strasbourg anymore, no bells to mark the hour, no roosters to call the dawn. Time has lost its teeth, melted down into motion and breath, and the quiet hush of bodies passing one another in rhythm. No one needs to know what day it is. They only need to know the next step. You've stopped asking questions, not because you found answers, but because the questions themselves have dissolved. What caused it? Why her? Why you? Irrelevant. You wake moving. You sleep moving. You eat when someone places food in your hands. You drink when a jug is passed your way. There's no hunger, just rhythm. No thirst, just breathe. A woman braids flowers into your hair. She doesn't speak. You nod once. Someone draws a red circle on your sleeve with chalk. You don't know what it means, but everyone who has one moves with the same sway, the same beat. You match them. It feels right. There are still masks, more elaborate now. Antlers, ribbons, mirrors sewn into cloth. Some people have painted their skin. Others wear nothing but dust and grace. You don't know who's under which mask anymore. And strangely, you don't miss knowing. You still have yours. You haven't taken it off in days, weeks? Hard to say. It no longer matters who you were before the mask. It only matters that your feet are still steady, your breath still deep, your steps still clean. The shrine has been covered in flowers. No priest, no altar, just petals. You step through them barefoot. They crunch gently, sweet-scented and soft. Someone hums a lullaby in the corner, and you realize it's one you once knew, but not anymore. The town feels whole, unified, worn at the edges, yes, but balanced, like a pendulum that no longer fights its swing. Even the houses lean slightly, as if bowing in respect to the rhythm they now belong to. Historians still debate whether the dancing plague ever truly ended. The records grow thin around this point. Some claim the townspeople were cured after weeks of continuous movement. Others believe the event was forgotten, repressed, or intentionally erased. But what if no one survived? What if everyone simply transformed? What if the cure wasn't to stop dancing, but to become the dance? You lie down in the middle of the square, the stone warm beneath your spine. Others join, one by one. No signal, no leader, just a shared knowing. Hands stretch out, fingers brush, a circle forms. No sound, no beat, just presence. Just the soft hum of peace that has no explanation. The sky is streaked with dusk. Someone weeps. You don't know why. Maybe they're remembering what it felt like to be still. You close your eyes, and even in the darkness behind your eyelids, you're still moving. You wake before dawn, and for once, the world feels still. Not silent, not dead, just quiet in a way that feels deliberate, like a breath being held before a final note. You sit up slowly, body soft with sleep, expecting the usual pull in your calves, the twitch in your fingers. But there's nothing, no rhythm, no pulse in the walls, no distant hum to catch in your teeth. It's as if the music has been turned off. You rise barefoot and step outside. The air is cool, cooler than it's been in weeks. The stones beneath your feet are damp with dew, not sweat. You realize how long it's been since you saw dew, or clouds, or a bird. And the square empty, no dancers, no masks, no drums. Just the faint echo of your own footsteps and the creak of your breath as it moves in and out. You walk slowly, unsure if this is a dream, or worse, the moment you've finally gone mad. But everything feels too vivid for delusion. The scent of old apples on the wind. The softness of morning light bending through shutter cracks. The way the moss between the cobblestones shimmers in the quiet. You find the shrine, the altar is bare. No candles, no offerings, no footprints. Even the flowers are gone. You step closer and notice something carved into the wood. A fresh etching, thin and precise. 0. You survive by surrendering. You run your fingers over it. It's real. The wood gives slightly under your touch. Warm. A voice calls out behind you. Your name. You turn too fast, but no one's there. Just an apple rolling across the stones. You watch it until it stops. Historians still debate whether the dancing plague ever truly ended, or if it simply reached a threshold of completion. Some believe it faded like a fever breaking. Others argue it passed into the soil, like a seed waiting to bloom again in another time, another place. But here and now it feels like absence, like the town has exhaled, like something has let go. You walk the square for hours. There are signs it happened. Scrapes in the wood, worn patches in the stone, a trail of crushed petals leading to the well, but no people, not one. You go home, not because you're tired, but because that's where you keep your memories. And when you open the door, you find your mask lying flat on the table, the ribbon untied, the note beneath it reads, "Thank you for dancing, rest now." And so you do. The town stays empty for days. You walk its streets alone, the only sound the soft scrape of your footsteps echoing through alleys that once pulsed with rhythm. No dancers, no watchers, no incense. The chalk spirals have faded. The air holds a stillness so deep it begins to feel hollow. The bakery is shuttered. The forge is cold. Even the fountain has lost its echo. And yet, nothing is broken. No signs of struggle or exodus. Just stillness. As though everyone was quietly erased while they were sleeping. Not vanished, not taken. Released. You begin to wonder if the town itself was the host. Not the people, not the square, but the space between. The rhythm didn't infect bodies. It infected place, the cobbles, the walls, the very air. And now that it's done with Strasbourg, it has no need for witnesses. You check your body each morning like a doctor might. Fingers to pulse, eyes to the mirror, mouth silently mouthing, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, just to be sure you're still free. Or maybe still claimed. You're not sure which one you want anymore. You speak out loud sometimes, just to hear a voice. "Hello? Is anyone still here? Did we finish it?" No one answers. Until one morning, you hear a bell. Not a church bell, something smaller, sharper. You follow the sound through twisting streets until you find a ribbon tied to a post. Red, taut, crisp as a fresh apple peel. Beneath it, a small wooden sign reads, "Strasbourg thanks you. Please leave quietly." You stare at it for a long time. Your first thought is to laugh, your second is to obey. Because part of you knows, whatever was here, it's gone, and it left the town in your care, or maybe as a reminder. You pack a small satchel, you leave the mask on the table, and you walk through the square one last time, past the bakery, the shrine, the dry fountain. Each step feels both lighter and heavier, like shedding something sacred, like walking away from a chapel after a sermon that rewrote your bones. Historians still debate whether anyone remained in Strasbourg after the plague. Some records suggest total abandonment. Others claim one figure stayed behind, walking the streets long after the last rhythm faded. A watcher, a witness. You never learn who that person was. But as you reach the edge of town, you look back only once. The breeze picks up, and in the distance, you think you hear humming, but maybe it's just the wind. The world outside Strasbourg feels wrong. Too fast, too loud. People walk without rhythm. They talk over one another. They clutch coins like talismans, speak in clipped questions, glance behind themselves too often. You travel through villages, staying on footpaths and avoiding town centers. You sleep near rivers, eat bread too stale to chew, drink water that tastes like metal, and yet, none of it feels dangerous. Just disconnected, like you've stepped out of a story and into static. One town you pass through celebrates a wedding. Music plays, real music, joyful, chaotic, out of tune. Your fingers twitch, not from temptation, but from discomfort. The beat is wrong, sloppy. You slip away before they notice you didn't clap. In another place, you meet a boy with a wooden toy drum. He taps out a pattern that makes your stomach drop. You ask him where he learned it. He shrugs. Heard it in a dream, he says. You give him fruit and keep walking. The rhythm never really leaves you. It just softens, sinks deeper into the folds of your breath, the roll of your shoulders, the shift in your hips when you turn. You find yourself counting steps again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then you stop because you know where that leads. You begin to carry a small stone in your shoe, just enough to disrupt the cadence, just enough to remind your body that not all motion is music. Historians still debate whether survivors of the dancing plague carried it with them, infecting new towns with memories instead of microbes. Some argue they became healers. Others say they went mad in solitude, whispering songs into riverbeds. But you become a whisper. A woman at a roadside inn asks if you've ever heard of Strasbourg. You nod once, slowly. Beautiful town, she says. But cursed, they say. Everyone disappeared. You smile gently, say nothing. You dream of the square sometimes, of lanterns swinging above your head, of feet turning in perfect unison, of the mask you left behind, untouched on the table. And sometimes, just before waking, you see a crowd gathered on a faraway hill. Not dancing, just waiting. You always wake before they move. And you wonder every time if they're waiting for you. Seasons change around you, but you stop keeping track. Leaves fall. Snow comes. Rain melts it. Crocuses bloom in soil that never asked for grace. And still, you walk. Not far, not fast, just forward. Through villages and valleys, forests and fields, a moving shadow cast by a memory no one else seems to carry. People speak to you sometimes. They call you gentle, quiet, lost. You nod and they give you food. A place by the fire, no questions, but they never ask you to stay. One night, you find yourself in a town with cobbled streets that feel too familiar. Not Strasbourg, but something in the curve of the alleys. The way lanterns hang from black iron posts, the faint scent of yeast and clay. It stirs something in your chest. You pause at a well. A woman draws water beside you. She hums, not loudly, not musically. But the tune, it's there, submerged like a shell under wet sand. You freeze. She glances sideways. You okay? You nod, slowly. Your fingers twitch once before you tuck them into your coat. She walks away. You sleep beneath a church awning that night. Rain drums on the tiles above your head in uneven patterns. You count anyway. 1, 2, 1, pause, 3. And then you realize something awful. You're not afraid anymore. Not of the rhythm, not of its return, not of what you might become again. Because you know now, it's not coming back, not like before. You were part of something rare. Terrible, yes, beautiful too. And like all things that burn that bright, it couldn't last. But its echo, it's everywhere. In every city square where someone taps their foot too long. In every child who spins without knowing why. In every night when the wind hums in a pattern only your bones remember. Historians still debate whether the dancing plague was a one-time anomaly or part of a pattern we haven't yet learned to see. Some point to strange outbreaks in Italy, Syria, Madagascar, a twitch here, a rhythm there. They catalog symptoms, look for proof, but they're looking in the wrong places because the real plague wasn't in the feet. It was in the longing, The longing to forget, to surrender, to dissolve. You rise before dawn, walk to the highest hill, and hum, just once into the wind. Not loud, just enough. To remind the world it still remembers. The town never truly leaves you. Even now, so far from Strasbourg, with your hair gone silver and your gait slowed by time, it lingers. In the way you scan for patterns in crowds. In the way you feel your breath shift when someone taps a rhythm too long on a table. In the quiet thrill of a floorboard creaking just right. Some nights you wake to music, not loud, not real, but it's there, just beneath the silence. You sit on the edge of your bed, pulse steady, and listen. Not to panic, not to flee, just to remember. Because now memory is all you have left of that strange, beautiful terror, that slow motion unraveling of everything rational, that plague not of flesh, but of surrender. You walk to your window. Outside, the world moves as it always has. Carts rattle down streets. Children chase dogs. A blacksmith sings off-key. The air smells like bread, not incense. And yet, you notice someone swaying, just barely. A young woman. Her feet shift on cobblestone. Her fingers tap her apron. She's not aware of it. Not yet. But your breath catches anyway. Not in fear, in recognition. You step back from the window, sit again. Your old mask rests on the shelf, the ribbon frayed, the eye holes dusted with time. You haven't worn it in years, but you haven't thrown it away either. You wouldn't dare, because you know what it meant. You know what it still means. And deep down, you understand. Some dances never really stop. They just fade, waiting for the right ears to hear the drum again. Waiting for the right feet to twitch in rhythm. Waiting for someone tired enough, lost enough, open enough to say yes. Historians still debate whether the dancing plague of 1518 was mass psychosis, ergot poisoning, a social crisis erupting in kinetic despair. They file their theories in books, stacked neatly on shelves far away from where it happened. But none of them ever ask the right question. Not why did it start? Not even how did it end? The real question is, what if it wasn't a sickness at all? What if it was a choice? You lie back down, close your eyes, and for the first time in years, you fall asleep without counting the steps. And so the story closes, not with a scream, or a cure, or a monument carved in stone, but with a slow, fading rhythm, gently swallowed by time. You rest now, far from Strasbourg. The names have blurred, the faces too. The platform has rotted, the dancers are dust, and the candles long since gone cold. But the memory, that strange, elegant terror, lingers. Like a song you forgot the lyrics to, but still hum in the back of your throat. Let this tale settle softly behind your eyes, where your thoughts grow quiet and your heartbeat drifts into something slower, something older. Imagine a town swaying in the dusk, not mad, not damned, just moving in the only way it knew how. There is no need to understand it, only to accept that it happened. And maybe, just maybe, in another place, another time, someone will feel the tug of a beat they can't name and take the first step. But that is not tonight. Tonight your feet are still, your breath is yours, and your dreams are your own again. Another page closed, another memory turned to dust. Sweet dreams. Please rate the disaster level on a scale of 1 to 10 in the comments section, and subscribe to hear more history disaster stories before bed. Have a peaceful night dreaming of the forgotten ruins. Sleep tight. See you in the dust of history.